way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.
Today our adventures continue in San Antonio, Texas. This time we are visiting Ripley's, believe it or not, auditorium here. Right here in Alamo Plaza. I absolutely love the way Ripley's chooses to display everything that they have. It's always very interesting. Ripley's, believe it or not, come see the show. Right here in the front there's Spider-Man, but just check out this wood carving. It's like a driftwood art. It's very unique. Reminds me a lot of Animal Kingdom back in Orlando. I don't really think you're supposed to be doing anything aside from that or anything special, but you, dear sir, believe it or not, are creepy. Look at this. A picture of Ripley and a lady friend studying a giant man-eating clam in his garden. And there it is, the man-eating clam. Jessica, there are crazy dead things all around us. Oh, this is strange.
This is a never-ending, like, mousetrap kind of contraption. I'm trying to find where the ringing bell is happening, and I can't find it.
This kind of reminds me of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, like his house whenever he's making breakfast.
Yeah. But where is that bell sound happening?
I don't know where the bell's coming from.
I know, right?
Oh, there it is, yeah.
It's down there.
That's crazy cool.
It's down there, I know.
This giant elk is made out of nails. That's cool as heckins. I'd love to have that in our house. Speaking of giant animals and fossils, there's Jessica standing under a giant mammoth skeleton. That's crazy cool. She's so tiny. Here's a case filled with Oriental art, but what really caught my eye are these portraits painted on snakeskin. That's insane. You know what? Right out the gate, this place seems, or at least feels, a lot different than other Ripley's we've been to. Check out this War Surgeon's kit. If you look closely, you can see that little bit of blonde hair there in that framed picture. That's President George Washington's hairlock. Right next to things like nails and metal found inside the stomach of cows. In our travels, we've seen a lot of different examples of the Berlin Wall. I think this one and the Ripley's, believe it or not, out in Hollywood probably have to be my favorite displays. There's one also in Universal Orlando, but it's been cleaned and washed over. It doesn't look like anything except for a concrete slab anymore. Well, hello, Mr. Three-Eyed Tortoise. Can we see your eyes? Well, you can only see two of them. There's one there and then one in the center of his forehead. You can't see the other one, conveniently. But look at this. A giant cow hairball. That's disgusting. What you're looking at right now is an African human skin mask. And quite honestly, at first I thought it was a giant scorpion. It kind of looks like a scorpion, right? Never seen one of those before. Well, African skin mask. I'm not really sure what you're supposed to be, but you look creepy. Here's Jessica standing in front of Robert Wadlow, the tallest man ever recorded in the world.
I'm not sure if I've seen this one before, but they have a video here of Robert Wadlow when he was as early as 10 years old, because by then he was already 7 feet tall at 10 years old. At 12 he was like 7'3", and then, you know, he just kept growing. So I guess the camera's kind of followed him his whole life until he reached 9 feet tall at 18. Wow. They said it's a pituitary gland thing, but he just looks like he's in so much pain. The poor man.
Before we delve into this room, let's just take a panoramic shot of it. This is set up just like I would think a museum should be set up. The lighting is perfect. Everywhere you look, it's just something unique. It's Ripley's. Now this is rather unique. It says the Oswald Kennedy Assassination car. I've never seen anything like this before. Reading the plaque, it states that Lee Harvey Oswald did not have a driver's license and he relied on his neighbor to give him a ride everywhere. On the morning that Kennedy was assassinated, he drove Oswald to the book depository, and right here in this exact back seat was a rifle that was wrapped in newspaper. That was the rifle used to assassinate John F. Kennedy. Crazy. And of course, along with the car, they have a pretty elaborate JFK assassination section. I mean, it did happen here in Texas, over in Dallas. Jessica's over here reading stuff. Let's go see what it says. Finding anything interesting, Jessica?
Well, I didn't know, or maybe just didn't remember that when Lee Harvey Oswald was being walked through the police station that he was shot by the trans. I recall the picture kind of, but it's things that you learn so much over time that it kind of falls out of memory. So I'm relearning some things about our history.
All this happened in Dallas, but there's the photo that Jessica was talking about of Ruby shooting Lee Harvey Oswald. There's a picture of the gun. And it says that's the bullet. Ripley's, if you ever want to sell this piece, let me know. And I'm not talking about the foot. I'm talking about this piece of paper right here. This is the certified, authentic mortician toe tag of Lee Harvey Oswald. That's insane. Here's Lee Harvey Oswald's fingerprints from his arrest on November 22nd, 1963. That's the arresting officer. I'd like to introduce you to Walter Hudson, the 1,400-pound man. We just come across a gun display, and one thing really stood out, and that's it right here in the center of your screen. It's a homemade mobster pistol. Look at that thing. Got some pretty unique stuff here. What is this? Combination pistol and knife.
Come on over, have a seat, Chief.
That talking moose head reminds me of Evil Dead. But they have a little photo spot here where you can sit on the couch and get your photo taken with this guy, the Cuban eye popper. But I think because of COVID, not many people are going to be sitting on this couch. I like how they have Johnny Eck on display here. He was a freak who's buried in Baltimore, Maryland. Also, he was in Todd Browning's 1932 movie Freaks. I'm really digging the lighting in here. Turn the corner and we come across this. A camel bladder bottle. Jessica, would you drink water out of that?
Only in dire circumstances.
Right? Even then, I don't know if I could drink water out of that. Well, hello, old friend. It's nice to see that you're represented here in San Antonio as well. We're not going to take the elevator. Instead, well, Jessica's already out there. She's continuing on. Here in the stairwell is a giant picture of Ripley holding the world-famous Fiji Mermaid, which is funny because Ripley exposed P.T. Barnum's legendary Fiji Island mermaid as nothing more than a part fish and part monkey hoax at his New York City auditorium in 1939. I lost Jessica for a second, and then I turned the corner, and then I realized that she is just hanging out in the blacklight hallway because her hair, it reacts to it. Look at that. Go ahead and fan it out. That looks really neat. It's very ghostly. And you are beautiful. Now we're talking. We've come across some Japanese theater masks. If you ever lose Jessica, all you gotta look for is dead things, and you'll find her. There she is, hanging out under something dead. It is a giraffe. It's massive. See that right there in this display case? Circus midget women's shoes, circa 1850s, and it's right next to human tooth necklace. Now this is different. It says West African hate god. Every nail driven into this wooden hate god by the medicine men of West Africa represents a prayer that hard luck or even a painful death will fall upon arrival. Thing's insane looking. Crazy cool, man. They have an outfit and a headdress here that's made out of human bone. Tibetan human bone. Is it Rugen? R-U-G-E-N? Rugen, maybe? Very neat. Let's get a closer look at that headdress. Yeah, that's pretty sick. They even have a display here for Jojo the Dogface man. His entire body was covered with long, silky textured hair. The hair on his face grew to over 8 inches long. Basically, that's a real life werewolf. That necklace that you see, it's a snake or vertebrae necklace. Ripley acquired it in 1933. Walking up here on the 3rd floor, it's like a conveyor belt of just weird things. Just walk around and take a look at it. Oh my. Can you see it over there? I know the sun's behind it, but right in about the center of your screen is an actual Iron Maiden. Let me zoom in a little bit. Just as that weird golden person moves through there. That's amazing. And as sure as I'm standing here, there's a plaque that says Iron Maiden, medieval torture device. Prisoners who were found guilty of heresy were subjected to the embrace of the Iron Maiden. And here's an old picture of it. Look at that. Can you imagine being inside there and having these spikes closed in on you? That's pretty wicked. Jessica's over here looking at something pretty intently. What'd you find, baby girl?
Well, I've never heard of a shoe that doesn't leave any tracks, but according to this, in Australia, amongst the Aborigines, it's believed that if you wear these shoes made out of emu feathers, you can get away from like a theft or something without leaving any tracks. I don't know if it's true, but it says that you don't leave any tracks if you wear these shoes.
There's the shoes right there that Jessica was talking about. To be honest, I think because they're kind of fluffy and they have feathers, I think she wants them. Also in the same display case is an old straitjacket and some handcuffs. And of course, this seems like a perfect place to put this. Here are medieval torture devices. Here's a genuine medieval chastity belt. Right above it, I've always loved these, medieval Brink masks. And check this one out up here. A Scold's bridal collar. Right here in the center of this room is a medical school study head. Let's walk around this display case. That's interestingly cool. Right? They have some spooky stuff over here in this case. Right down here. Let's watch the glare. There are genuine crocodile teeth dentures. Right above it, look how creepy that thing looks. A voodoo skull. And they have a bust here, a wax bust of the Crocodile Man. I don't think I've ever actually seen genuine snake wine in person. It says believed will cure insomnia, glaucoma, arthritis, and rheumatism. Believe it or not. Jessica, I think you need to drink this so you can go to sleep. They have an actual mummified falcon here. It's real.
It's over 2,000 years old.
That is unique as all heckins. You can even see his beak and his eyes. Well, the representation of it. Sign down here says this is a Guatemalan witch doctor costume. And wait till you get a load of this thing. That thing is glorious. On display here as well, they have an authentic key from the personal collection of the great Harry Houdini. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what a shaman's fetish is, but check out this genuine shrunken head. Now, I did not know this, but it is believed by some cultures and tribes that the head is where the soul lives. So, after somebody would die in battle, a warrior, they would cut off the head and they would shrink it and they would wear it like a trophy or have it as a trophy. Did you see this, Jessica? It's a shrunken sloth head. You can see his little nose. That's a little sloth. There's another shrunken head over here. Man, I dig skulls. Like, I really love them. Here's a genuine cannibal skull. It's crazy. On display like something out of a vampire movie. Here they have hand-painted bats. Actually, a vampire bat. And it says, contrary to legend, although they do drink blood, these bats do not attack animals. The art's really not that good, guys. This looks like it's seen better days, but it's probably just very old. A Japanese tea ceremony kimono. Ripley had a love for the Orient and all things. Very beautiful. All the way down here at the end of this hallway are vampire hunting kits. Look at this thing. Like, we have exorcism kits and last rites kits in our house, but somehow we need to acquire something like this. Those bottles, I don't know if you can read them, but there's one right there. You can probably make it out. It says vampirism. This is probably the nicest Ripley's I've ever seen. The way that they have everything set up. Just everywhere you walk, there's just something different to look at. You see the guy over there suspended with, what is that, goat skulls hanging from his legs? I'm really digging this. What is going on over here? That guy is folded in half. Is that based off of somebody real? Looks like we've entered the torture chamber. I'd probably point out all those things right now, but behind me are some really, really interesting things. But first off, let's take a look over here to our left. It says this is the tramp chair. What on earth is this thing? Basically, it was used by small towns that didn't have a jail, and they'd put the offender inside there and people could come by and poke them with a stick. I can only imagine how uncomfortable this would be. Huh? No thank you. Now this is rather interesting. Ripley San Antonio right here on display is something called the Brink. Basically, it's primarily used on women as public humiliation for basically gossiping. You'd have to wear that sometimes for hours up to months. They have another little interactive exhibit here, but I am not touching it. Basically, It is a dead fella, a skeleton on the rack. In case you don't know, Jessica and I have a fascination for oddities. Of course. And Ripley's, believe it or not, they're scattered throughout the country. And we're trying to visit every single one of them. This is our very first trip here at the Ripley's in San Antonio.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.